Yeah, I'm wearing one in the house, so that's probably a good indication of what it's like out there. So anyway, I thought we'd dive right into this. So let's start at the beginning. You now live in Gander, but you didn't always live in Gander. Give us a bit of your background.
Well, I have a very colorful background. I was born in Ontario, and at a very early age, I think I was around 3 or 4, my parents, who were from Newfoundland, moved me back there. And I grew up on the shores of Fogo Island. Um, and then after that, I moved all over the country. I've lived in BC, I lived in Alberta, Ontario, Nova Scotia, just about everywhere.
You made your way
And
back
now I'm here.
east. Yeah.
Yeah, the ocean calls you home, that's for sure.
It does that. Did it to me too. And you are, from what I can tell, at currently, even though you've done other things in the past, right now you are a working author, writer. That's what you do.
It is, yeah.
That's rare.
It is rare. A lot of people
Yeah.
just do it as a hobby.
Yeah,
Side project.
exactly, or it's I find that a lot of the writers that I encounter that are writing full time, um, it's a second career. They've retired or they've moved on to, from other things into it, or they do it, like you say, as a second job or on the side or as a hobby. So for you you're a working writer. That's what you do. That's great. And you write.
I'm very lucky.
You are, and you write different things, right? You don't just write. I mean, you write books, and we're going to talk about those, but you write freelance and different things like that as well.
Yes, I freelance for a number of different magazines and online publications.
Right, but you write a lot of fiction as well, and I just discovered this morning how much fiction you write.
Quite a bit.
How long have you been writing books? When did you write your first book?
I started writing my very first book in my late teens. I think I was like 19 or 20. I picked away at it, and then I kind of just set it aside because at that point I was working in interior design. So really, at that point, it was just a hobby. I didn't even tell my friends. It was just something that I wanted to do in my spare time. So I set it aside for a few years, and in my early to mid-20s, I picked it back up and finished it and published it. I think I was around 25. And for context, I'm 32 right now.
So not that long, really.
Not that long, but long enough, I guess.
Yeah, well, you were 25, you're 32 now, and you have, in that period of time, written how many books?
I am publishing my 12th book on the 24th of this month.
Wow. So that's actually, that's a lot of books.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. And I've read some of them, not everything. I didn't know you had 12. Or now I'm going to have to go back and start reading. And are all of those books still available?
They are. They're available wherever books are sold, basically, in certain bookstores, but mostly online.
Right. So your first book, what was it about? What kind of book was it? What genre did you write in?
The genre was paranormal fantasy romance, which is sort of the genre that I like to hang around in. It's called Iron and Wine, and it's about a hidden magical world of fairies that exists within our own world, but sort of hidden, like behind a veil. And I worked in a lot of the actual fairy folklore from Ireland and Scotland and sort of modernized it. And it's just about the ancient politics of their culture and how it is struggling to sort of iron out in modern day, and they're starting to mix with people and that kind of thing. It's a detailed series. It's hard to go over all the details, but yeah, it's about fairies, basically.
So it's a series.
It is a series. It's a trilogy.
Okay, because a lot of these books, like the paranormal romance and the fantasy, do come in series. I notice. You see a lot of that. And is that what you primarily read, or do you?
Actually, I primarily read nonfiction and thriller. But
yeah.
I do read in the genre that I write. I
Right.
love that genre.
Yeah, I find that's common with a lot of writers that what I find is, and I don't know if this will be true for you, but what I found talking to writers is that a lot of them will have read the genre they write in, but once they start writing in it, they kind of move away from it a little bit because they're so immersed in that type of writing that they want a little something different to, I don't know, cleanse the palate or something.
I think that goes for pretty much all areas of life. Like if you do so much of one thing, it's nice to have something different to keep things interesting and keep your mind going. Like if I'm heavily into plotting and writing a new book and it's a paranormal romance, in my free time, I'm probably going to read a thriller or a biography on my favorite celebrity kind of thing, just to cleanse my head and, refresh kind of thing. But with that being said, as soon as I finish writing a book, I dive right into like a fantasy or a paranormal or something like that because I just love reading that genre.
And but you've written a thriller.
I did because I love the genre so much. I did write one thriller. I do plan to do more with them and make it a series, but sort of a side project.
Because I like thrillers and I really like your thriller. So that's good to hear. Now let's talk about, so you've done fairies and I know you've got 12 books. We won't talk about all of them. So we move from the first series you wrote to the most recent series you wrote, which has been this year, I guess. You've been releasing fairly regularly a different series, and I enjoy it. I've read the 3 that are released, and tell us about that series.
Well, the series is called Dark Tithe, and it's a time travel fantasy romance. So if you can kind of envision that popular show / book series Outlander, and then mix it with Pirates of the Caribbean is basically the easiest way to sum it up. So what I've done is taken actual Newfoundland pirate history and then sort of mixed it with fantasy. And it follows the story of a woman named Diana in our modern time in Newfoundland. And she finds an enchanted ship in a bottle and accidentally breaks it. When she does, she finds herself swept back in time to 1707 Newfoundland, and she's taken prisoner aboard a pirate ship. And a lot of the pirates I use in the series were actual pirates that are recorded in history to have been involved in Newfoundland. Some of them are made up, though, just to keep it fun. But, and it just follows her. She's back in the 1700s, trying to survive, trying to get along on this pirate ship. The captain is kind of dark and gloomy, and she has to sort of win his trust and win his heart in order to stay alive, and ends up falling in love with him. But that's sort of like the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole fantasy underlying plot to the story where she's mixed up with, the sirens and mermaids and cursed pirate ships. And it's got a little bit of everything. I loved writing it.
Yeah, and I like reading it. It's dramatic. It's a page turner. You just go, and it's a romance. It's a romance. There's a love story going through the whole thing, and you bring us to points of where, how the heck are they going to get out of this? And then the book ends, and so you have to wait for the first one was a huge cliffhanger, and I was like, why did she do this to me? But I like that because one thing about the one genre that I do not read is mystery, and that's because I don't read mystery. I used to read mystery. I've read mystery, and one genre that I don't read is mystery because I always figure them out. I always know. There's always a giveaway somewhere, and I watch for it, and I know it's there, and I know it's coming. And it's kind of, can somebody just figure out how to write a good mystery that doesn't give me the clue somehow, make it a little bit more challenging. And I find that in a lot of them. And so I don't read, but your book is sort of like the opposite of that, where I'm going, I have no idea how she's getting these people out of this mess. And so I have to move on to the next one. There's no choice, because I don't know where it's going, and I don't read in that genre a lot. So it's got no formula, it's got no pattern. I can't figure it out. So it's like, I've got to read it. That's the only way I'm going to know. And so you've got 3 of these books out already.
Yep.
And you've got the 4th one coming. First, I think we skipped this part, but what are they called?
The first book is called The Devil's Heart. So actually, first, before I say all the names, I just want to mention that the titles of the individual books are sort of like euphemisms for what happens in the books, but they also are the names of ships that appear in each of the books. So there's a little bit of like story behind the titles kind of thing. So book 1 is called The Devil's Heart, and book 2 is The Pirate Queen. Book 3 is The Blackened Soul, and book 4 that comes out on the 24th is called The Siren's Call.
Right, and it's the Dark Tithe series, right? That's what it's called?
Dark Tithe series, yeah.
Yeah. And so when did you say the next one's coming out? The 24th of September?
24th of this month, yeah.
Wow, so soon. Good, because I need to know what happens.
And that wraps up the series. The series will be complete and finished and done.
Now, I know you, so when that series is finished and done, do you already have plans for the next?
Oh, definitely, yes. I am already plotting and writing my next series. It's not scheduled to release until sort of mid-next year. I do have some other projects in between from now till then to sort of tie readers over. But my next brand new series is another time travel fantasy, a little bit of romance, but this one follows a young archaeologist who lost her father and the love of her life in some freak accident when they were on a very secret dig, because they were archaeologists too. So years down the road, she finds the opportunity to go back to the last place her father was found, and she finds herself swept back in time to ancient Egypt. But it's not the Egypt that we know in history. It's a very advanced civilization with science and lots of technology kind of thing. So it's going to be really interesting to write, and I hope people like it.
How many books in that series do you think?
I'm planning for 3. With that being said, I planned for 3 with Dark Tides and ended up with 4. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm planning for 3.
Okay, because that happens.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. Sometimes the story, I just started a series that was one book for a long, long time that I couldn't get the ending to. And then finally realized that the reason was that it didn't end there. And so turned it into a series so that I could carry on. And so it's out of your hands sometimes. I think that's the thing that people...
there's a point that writers reach when they're writing that where the story just kind of starts writing itself. The characters say things you didn't plan for them to say, and then new characters are introduced and underlying plot lines, and it's so much gets added, so you need to keep writing to finish the story.
And now you have coming up a release a collaboration that you're doing with a bunch of other authors, or is it already released? I'm trying to... The Right to Reign.
It's available. Yes, the Right to Reign anthology. So it's a collection of single stories. There's 25 in the collection, and they all surround a witch theme. So witches, sorcerers, wizards, that kind of thing. So it is definitely paranormal, urban fantasy. Right. And right now it is available for pre-order. So Kobo, iBooks, Nook, Amazon, I think, went live today for pre-order. And right now, to sort of like get the word out there, it's only 99 cents. So our main goal right now is to get as many sales and pre-orders as we can for this anthology.